hard loss, a hard pill to swallow, is the saying, right? Because you battle back from two-goal deficits. Yeah, you get a point out of it. I understand. That's all well and good. But geez, you wanted a victory there. That would have felt good.
Yeah, it would have. Just a few too many mistakes on the Flyers' side of things. That's it was the second time in the span of the last 25 minutes that they had a block shot high in the zone end up in the back of their net the other way. It's just I don't know if it's a matter of making sure you don't do that, or if it's a matter of just bad luck. But that's the way it bounced here tonight for the Flyers, and then again they'll take the point, but they wish they had the two.
Yeah, I'm just watching the play again, and I just don't like the decision that Hayes makes there, because we know, Bright, that overtime 3-on-3 is all about possession, and you have to weigh that risk reward of trying to make a play versus if it doesn't connect, what is the result then the other way? And they'd been out there for a bit, so there's not going to be any back check with a 3-on-1. It's an up and down game, and I just don't love the decision there.
I thought the same thing when I watched it. Right now, looking back at the numbers we have, I wish I had a wide angle shot of that goal just so I could see what happened on the Flyers side, because watching it live, you assume that after that block, it's a case where the Flyers have been out there for a minute and a half, 2 minutes, and they just don't have any gas to get back. Well, Travis Konechny had only been out for 48 seconds on that particular shift. He had a 56-second shift before that. I don't know how long back in overtime it was. Kevin Hayes was at a minute 10. Tony DeAngelo was at a minute 14. Now, yes, those shift times are longer than you would see during regulation, but also during 3-on-3, typically you're not exerting yourself as much. On the other side of things, the three guys on the ice for Columbus that took the 3-on-1 the other way had been out for a minute 43, a minute 31, and a minute 17.
Wow.
So I'm not entirely sure why that last play tilted so sharply and quickly in the Blue Jackets' direction. But obviously,
when it goes the other way,
yeah,
you're just trailing it by so far that it's just so hard to. That's that up and back of the overtime, and you just got to be really careful about possessing the puck. And odd man rushes the other way, and not only that, but you got Hayes back there trying to defend it. He's not a defenseman.
Yep.
No,
I apply the same thing to Columbus's third goal, which came off the Konechny slap shot from the point. I assume that you need to at least have the awareness in that situation that there's nobody behind you.
Yeah, you're the high point man.
Yeah, and you've got to get that puck at least through. Like you can't have that blocked and go back behind you the other way. And again, don't have the replays that we used to, unfortunately, but I was wondering if Konechny lost a blade on that play, because he went to one knee and kind of coasted to the bench in a strange manner. But
maybe he did lose some steel.
Little details there, I don't know. But yeah, it's just unfortunate, I think, for the Flyers side of things that that they weren't able to finish that one off tonight. 5 goals against a team like this would be enough. Again, they lost a couple of other guys in that game. I believe, Whack, but it's all those sorts of things that you wish you could have had that extra point. But again, they'll take the one and try to finish it off in Boston in a couple days.
Yeah, you're right about the Konechny one, where he's the high point man. When you're that high middle point guy, like, you have to be really careful in that spot, because if it does get blocked, it's going the other way. They're going that way with momentum, and all your guys are in deep in the zone. There's just no way for back pressure. Couple that with Konechny, again, as a forward. He's not going to defend a 3-on-1 well. I mean, that was a breakaway, and that's what happens sometimes. Those guys are coming to the puck as they block it, and if they block it and it goes, they're off to the races. You're standing still. You're screwed.
Yeah.
Basically, as that high point man. And again, that's that area of the ice that we talked about from the Columbus game last week. those areas, 8 to 10 feet just inside the blue lines, whether you're exiting your zone or you're in the offensive zone. It's just such a horrible area for a turnover
Right.
because of the momentum going the other way.
You are, and the reasoning that real estate is what it is, and you look at a hockey rink, from a layman's perspective, there's nothing about that area that seems dangerous, but because of the way the rules are, and zone entries and all those fun things, um, when you get to those areas, you have you're leaning, for lack of a better term, into the zone. You're expecting your momentum to carry your team into the zone there. If you're already in the zone, you are still moving north there. You're expecting whatever happens up there near that blue line to lead to a puck deep in the zone. And so when it doesn't, that's when you get caught flat-footed again, because you're expecting the momentum to go the other way, and you have to play that way. You can't play as a hockey team. You can't play expecting things from the point, or things just outside the zone, to get knocked down and go back the other way, because then you'll never have a successful zone entry. You'll never generate scoring chances. You've got to play that way, but at the same time, whoever's carrying the puck has got to be careful not to make that happen for those reasons.
Yeah, and exactly. You have to know the situation and what's in front of you, what's behind you, and what's coming at you. It's all about I'm writing this word down because I want to talk about it in the podcast. Risk reward. WRAD. Because that's what it's like in hockey. You have to take on risk to generate offense. It's inherent. But sometimes you have to weigh that risk reward. And
right.
Like, it's easy for us to look at it, look at the replays, but these things are all happening. Boom, 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 boom. And they have to be instinctual.
I going behind the curtain a bit, I spent the last 2 games watching at Wells Fargo Center from Lou Nolan's new perch, which is at the top of the lower bowl. You and I are used to watching up top in the press box. Just me going down there, I ended up going back upstairs because I couldn't see what was going on.
Is really fast down there. Isn't it?
I would blink and something else would happen. I can't imagine what it's like to be on the ice during all this going on. And so, yes, it is extremely easy for us to sit here and reevaluate things and look at replays and stuff. And we've heard it from the players before that they, somebody gets hurt and they go up and watch in the press box, and then they say, "Oh yeah, now I see why you guys think you're so smart, because it's a lot easier to see what's happening from upstairs." So yeah, I mean, it is a split-second decision that everybody's got to make down there. And it's very easy to not be in the middle of it and suggest that you do something different. But that's just the nature of professional sports, I suppose, because there's only 18 guys playing and there's several 100,000 people sitting around watching, and they all have their own opinions, right?
Well, all right, here's what I'm going to recommend then for the next home game on Monday against Calgary.
I sit on the bench.
You take a shift.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah, that'll go great.
They could use a winger. No, come down to the Zamboni entrance for the second period where I go.
Yeah.
It's these.
I try to do that every now and then. Yeah, just to kind of reset your head into reality. But those 3-legged pylons that they use in practice that I affectionately call Bundy, those things would be more effective than me taking a shift. That's for sure.
Well, we'll see if we can't get you a shift. Just one shift.
Right. Yeah.
It's crazy when you watch it from the top. It's like, okay, it's so poetic up there. And the further you move down lower, you go, oh, this isn't so poetic. This is very unapologetic down here.
I literally felt exhausted after watching the game from down low over the weekend.
Yeah,
it was quite just intense. Weird.
Yeah. I'm not sure which area I like watching from better. I like the variance. Even when I was growing up at the Spectrum going to games with my dad, I used to go stand up for the second period in the walkway of the second level of the Spectrum at the end the Flyers shot at, because I just like the change of perspective and seeing the game a little bit, how things develop and all of that. So
As long as you didn't have one of the seats behind the concrete posts.
Yeah, those were no good. Those were definitely obstructed view.
Yeah, very obstructed.
Yes, but the Flyers fall in overtime. I'm really not sure. We're going to take a break. I'm not sure how I feel about the game yet. I like the fact that they battled back from two goal deficits.
Mm-hmm.
The salty dog in me is just still upset that they lost the game and how they lost the game.
Yeah.
And I'm still salty about those 2 goals in 13 seconds. So let's chew on it during a break, and we'll come back and we'll give our thoughts on that. That's Brian Smith. I'm Jason Martinez. It is the Flyers and Blue Jackets. Flyers go down in overtime. We're back after this on the BetRivers.com Flyers Broadcast Network. All right, so the stream. What's up, stream? We're just going to hang here with the stream. Todd says, too risky of a pass by Hayes. I agree. That's kind of where I started there, Todd. I totally agree. Man, that's a risk-reward play, but that's a tough one.
Yeah, and again, I hate to sit here and say what he should have done differently, but I
would have spun off.
Yeah,
maybe pulled out of the zone, knowing those guys were out there long.
Mm-hmm.
Pull out of the zone and get some fresh legs out there to really put the screws to them. That's maybe
that would have worked out well, I think.
That's hard to do as a player, though, in that spot.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're like, wait a minute. We're in here. We're cycling the puck. We want to score and just end this thing. I don't want to get off the ice.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
It goes against the nature of all hockey players.
Yeah. Yeah, because look, as an alpha athlete, you don't want to come off. You want to be out there to finish it.
Yeah.
But that's a hard thing. That's a hard thing to balance. It definitely is a very difficult thing to balance. Oh, man, that's a tough. You win that game, you feel really good because you battle back. You still don't like the elements of, going down 2 twice, but you love that you battled back. I mean,
yeah, I mean, it's despite whatever the record is, it's always been a tough place. It seems in the last few years for the Flyers to play in that building. They had 0 issues there for the first 15 years of the franchise.
Yeah.
But the last 3-4, it's been a tough place for them to get anything done. And, I don't know exactly why, but, it's, again, one of those things where you just look for a way to finish it, but you're glad at least you had the resiliency to get the 1 point.
Yeah. I want to talk about TK when we come back.
We can do that.
I want to talk about something positive because this dude is on it.
We talk about how I do not care for these Montreal reverse retros. Holy crap!
Yeah, I don't love those either.
They look like those little.
Out that they love those. I did not love them.
They look like those tablets you drop in your toilet.
Yeah, Sanitab. The Clorox Sanitab.
My goodness.
Let's see here. No, let's. All right. This is what we do during a break for the people on the stream.
Oh, we're on the air.
And we are back as the Flyers fall against the Columbus Blue Jackets in overtime. Are the Flyers 0-3 in overtime now, Brian?
Something like that. Yep.
I believe they are. They went into the game. So we talked about their second periods. Now it's their they've had 2 goals scored against in overtime, now 3.
Yes.
And none 4. I think and they lost 1 in a shootout, if I recall. So
correct,
extra hockey has not been kind here in the early going for the Flyers. But
Flyers in their history have been a decent overtime team.
Yeah, just not a shootout team. Yeah.
I don't know why that just boggles my mind that's been like that, but decent overtime usually.
Yeah. They ended up, I sent you that scoring chance chart after the first period and how I called it hideous after the first period, and it was. But all said and done in the game, they ended up with the second period and the third period, I think they launched about 30 shot attempts in the second period alone. I think, and they ended up with 16 shots, I think, in the second.
16-8 was the second period shot totals. Yes.
Yeah. So, so the rest of the game, they generated good offense. That first period was a sleepwalk. And I'm sure that the coach probably tore into them pretty good, especially coming off 3 straight losses. But
37 shots on goal tonight, 79 shot attempts, I think.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's what teams were doing to them.
Zombies, right?
Yeah.
Travis Konechny. Let's talk about something positive here because, dude is playing. Really well. This is the best I've ever seen him look. He looked really good in 1920, 24 goals in 66 games, the whole thing. He's on this point streak now. The last time he went a game without point was against the Rangers. Flyers didn't score at all in that game. But since then, in the now 6 games, he's got 2 goals, 6 assists, 8 points in those 6 games. And he's piling up multi-point games. On the season now, he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 multi-point games now on the season. They're only 16 games in.
Out of 16, wow.
Yeah, that's pretty stunning, isn't it?
11 shot attempts tonight, by the way.
For TK?
For TK, yep. 5 of them got through. 5 of them were blocked, including the one that unfortunately went the other way, and 1 miss. So, that led the team by a fairly healthy margin. I see a 7 here for Owen Tippett, a couple of 6s, and Ivan Provorov had 8, so he was next. So, but 11 for Konechny is and a lot of times your defensemen get a lot of those shot attempts because they're just pounding them in from the point. But for a forward to get 11, that's a pretty good number.
That's a guy who knows that he's one of the main scoring threats on the team, and he has to be a catalyst. He understands his role. Why does he understand his role? Because I imagine the coach is pretty clear about what his role is.
And again, it's a different role now, right? For a couple of reasons. One being that he is one of the guys that's moved into the void left by Claude Giroux. I would say at this point, him and Scott Lawton are probably 2 of the biggest people that have, and to a lesser extent, maybe an Owen Tippett, although he's not necessarily like a veteran leader, veteran presence, but he has blossomed this year.
I think D'Angelo's picked up a piece of that pie too, and Provorov.
He has. And definitely Provorov as well. And I think he's benefiting from D'Angelo being there.
Yeah.
The other thing too is just the different usage, the penalty killing addition to his game. He didn't have to kill any penalties tonight, but he is being leaned on now for roles that he was not leaned on before, and that's heavy 5-on-5 minutes. 17-29 tonight at 5-on-5, and then the added special teams responsibilities.
I want to look back and see the last time the Flyers were outshot. Because they outshoot Columbus again tonight.
Last game they won, I think.
Probably. They outshot Dallas 38-31. They outshot the Senators 38-27. Loss. Last week, they outshot Columbus 34-29. That was a loss. They did outshoot St. Louis 35-28.
That's right, because St. Louis, that was
yep.
They were not good that night.
Prior to that, Bri, there's 6 games before they outshot an opponent, and that was against San Jose where they lost 3-0. Mm-hmm. But they got outshot by Florida 51-22. Won the game, by the way. They got outshot 38-29 against Carolina, lost in overtime. They got outshot by the Rangers 36-19, lost in overtime. They got outshot by Toronto 44-25. They just lost that game. And then they got outshot by Ottawa in Ottawa 34-20 and won that game. This shot total thing and as an indicator of who's going to win the game is total and complete baloney.
So the way I'm looking at it, out of their 7 wins this year, they've been outshot in 5 of them. The St. Louis game that you mentioned, and then they outshot Vancouver by 1 back in the second game of the year. Everything else, they have been outshot and
and
in
handily.
most cases significantly.
Yeah.
It was not even close in several of these wins. 34-28, I think, is the closest win I'm seeing where they were outshot. They were shot 38-24 in one of them, 37-25 in another, 32-25 in another one, 50, and then the Florida one, of course, the 109 shot attempts against, that was 51-22, the shots on goal. So yeah, it does not compute, and so it's like, what do you do? I don't know. Just keep on
Um,
trying to do the right thing.
yeah, no doubt. We have a commenter on the stream, Jared Phillips, and he says ADM Anthony DeMarco thinks this is the best stretch of their season despite results. Not sure I agree. He said he and I usually are on the same page, but I see a lot of bad individual performances. Now, I remember this a couple of years ago. The Flyers were, God, maybe this was 2015, I want to say. The Flyers had lost 8 games in a row or something. And
Mm-hmm.
they were win games before that, kind of smoke and mirrors. And it didn't make sense. This isn't sustainable, but they keep winning, blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden they hit this rough patch. You saw the rough patch coming by their play. But then about 4 or 5 games into the losing streak, after about 9 games, they really were playing well, but they weren't winning. They were finding ways to lose. And I remember Ron Hextall at the time was the GM, and he met with media and said, we're playing good hockey. And people freaked out. They're like, you've lost 9 in a row. How could you say you're playing good hockey? Blah, blah, blah. But then they went on to win 7 games in a row.
Yeah.
And it's because sometimes the way you play doesn't match the result. And yeah, they're out shooting teams right now, and they've been resilient all season. That's been one constant, and they've battled. But are they playing their best hockey right now? I think they've, in a lot of ways, they are, but the mistakes have been too consequential.
I think what that commenter said, I think both things are true. I think as a team, they're playing better hockey than they were in the first month of the season. They're not giving up as much. They're limiting scoring chances. They're getting more scoring chances of their own. I think all those things are happening. I think also there have been several individual mistakes that have been key to this 0-3-1 stretch. There's been mistakes with protecting the puck and giveaways that go the other way and end up in the back of their net. There's been mistakes in penalties. There's been the one game where the Flyers took 3 penalties, all 3 of them, they were in possession of the puck when they took them. So there definitely have been individual errors, and that's just the nature of this game. Sometimes your mistakes end up in the back of your net, and in this particular situation, a lot of the Flyers' mistakes have ended up in the back of their net the last 4 games. So I think both of it's true, and it's just a matter, I guess, of trying to bear down and eliminate those individual things, and whether that's because you're just trying too hard, I guess, for lack of a better term. You just you're trying to force something that's not there. You're trying to make something happen, and in the eagerness of doing that, you take a penalty, whereas maybe you're better off just backing off and defending it, and then picking the next battle. There's probably something to be said about that, but I think both things are happening.
Yeah, I think that's really well said by you, because that is the part of the game when you have a team that doesn't have a guy they can chuck over the boards that's going to pot you 40-45 goals a year. Sometimes you feel like every opportunity you get, you better even incur even a little more risk, because you gotta score, because you just don't get a lot of grade A chances. But they've gotten a lot of grade A chances lately.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think that they've generated goods for a team that is bereft of high end talent as they are, to be generating the shot totals and the shot quality all said and done that they have over the last 6 games. To me, has been pretty stunning.
Yeah,
Because they don't have a DeBrincat or a Giroux or a Sean Couturier even, or a Cam Atkinson at this point, that they can chuck over the boards. They got Travis Konechny. He's a really good offensive player and obviously playing great. And I mean, you've got some guys. There is talent here, but when you don't have a lot of it, they are keyed on by the opposition
Right.
because they know they go, okay, let these other let Zach McEwen beat me, right? A lot of teams will sign up for that all day. Oh,
Hmm.
McEwen made a great play tonight on
Yeah.
Noah Cade's goal, but
Yeah.
that's the point. Go okay if we can keep Konechny and Hayes and that top line with Tippett under control, then okay, if you're going to force Morgan Frost and Joel Farabee to beat me right now, okay, we'll take that. So,
Yeah, and at the same time too, I think that when you have a situation like that where you don't have the go-to guy to throw over the boards and all that, you need to rely on things like special teams and whatnot more
yeah,
than you would otherwise. And that was a big part of the weekend. Flyers were 0 for 9 on the penalty kill over the weekend, and they allowed 4 power play goals on 6 power play chances against.
oof,
With the personnel that they have, that is going to be a death sentence, I think, more times than not. You need one of the two to work, either the PK or the power play, and preferably the power play.
mm-hmm.
So tonight they get one, which helped them bounce back from a couple of those deficits. They did give up one, but they got one tonight, and so they're going to need some combination of power play production and Carter Hart wizardry, I think, to be competitive on a regular basis. And whether
It's
they get
currently constructed.
as currently
Yeah,
constructed until somebody starts taking off here offensively, which maybe a couple guys will. I don't know. Obviously,
other than
Travis,
PK.
Konechny, and to a lesser extent Hayes are already there. But unless Owen Tippett starts bearing it, or one of these other guys in the middle six kind of catches fire, they're going to need those things to get by.
Yeah, and maybe that's going to take some of the cavalry to return.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, I mean,
next,
yeah. Let's not forget that, right? We've got,
yeah,
Patrick Brown is healthy. Not that he's the savior, but he's healthy and he's on a conditioning assignment, so he's not far away. They've Artem Anisimov, by the way, signed a PTO with the Phantoms today, I think.
okay.
So he's going to start playing, which could translate into him, eventually signing. I don't know where the contract situation is right now, but he could be available at some point. And then, who knows where Cam Atkinson is? Who knows? Just remember, this Flyers are essentially missing 2 top 3 forwards still,
Mm-hmm.
which they'll get back down the road, hopefully. And Bobby Brink is still coming
He went
around the
down.
trade deadline.
Yeah, he went down. He's starting to skate with the Phantoms too. I saw that
Yeah.
report from Bob Rochuck. That's good
Okay.
news.
Okay. So there are other guys coming at some point, and so the Flyers just need you were talking today, I think, on Flyers Daily about the being in the playoff hunt at November 1st and at American Thanksgiving and all that. As long as they can keep themselves in that general area, they could certainly be a second half team with everybody that's coming back here that could push to get in. But it's just going to be until then trying to ford the river as best they can.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, they'll be back at it come Thursday, and this is no easy task on Thursday. It is not an easy task from a team that is playing unbelievable to start the year. They're going to be in Boston for a matchup against the Bruins, and when you look at the entire NHL right now, the Bruins are sitting in the top spot. The Devils are only 2 points back. The Devils have a record of 13-3 through 16 games. One game better for the Bruins at 14-2. They are plus 30 in goal differential. They have 65 goals for, 35 against. They're 9-1 in their last 10. They've won 4 straight. By the way, Devils have won 10 straight now. They're an absolute wagon right now. Boston also 9-0 at home. So
Yeah,
going
I
to be a
mean,
tough one.
they have they're one of the it's one of those things there where you get some of those guys just working together well, and it just makes them just so efficient. They're so difficult to deal with when they've got all their good guys going well, and it's a Flyers property, Jim Montgomery, overseeing it. Getting a bit
He
of
was
a
a name
second
talked
chance.
about here.
Yeah,
He
absolutely.
was a guy they interviewed for sure.
So it's interesting because everybody, especially looking into the season, I mean, everybody thought that, man, Boston's going to be, on their way down the back end of the hill here after so many years with these guys, doing well. It didn't look like they were going to be very healthy. They had questions in goal, and right now everything is just coming up roses for them. So it's. We've always said it's not necessarily who you play; it's when they play them. I guess the Flyers would love it to be able to punt this game off for a couple of months and see if they cool off. But as it is, they're probably going to have to be part of the cooling off attempt here.
Yep, they're going to have to attempt that against a team that's undefeated at home through 9, and we'll see how they do come Thursday. And you can join us then, because we will be back on the Flyers Broadcast Network to bring you all the action from Boston. So let's get out of here. Let's thank a few people on our way out. Let's start with our in-studio engineer. How about Mike Vito stepping in for Pat Egan tonight? Mike, 3 times the height of Pat and twice as good. On highlights tonight, it was, I'm trying to bring up his text, and it was Dan Fritz. Did a nice job on the highlights tonight. For Tim Saunders, Steve Coates, Brian Smith, I'm Jason Martinez. You've been listening to Philadelphia Flyers Hockey, a 5-4 loss in overtime against the Columbus Blue Jackets on the BetRivers.com Flyers Broadcast Network. Good night, everybody. Thanks, brother. You too. All right, streamers.
We'll have a good night, everyone.
Daddy-O's got to get to work. I got to get to work and do the podcast. I did take a screenshot of that comment because I like that.
Yeah.
Although I do want to put this up. Ryan goes, random comment. Jason is probably older than he looks. Yes, I am. How old do I look?
Well, not that much older than that guy, I don't think.
Yeah, right.
You guys go to the same barber, that's for sure.
Yeah. Doesn't help. And I'm trying to figure out what this comment means. They're the epitome of non-linear progress. I don't know how the brain power to dissect that tonight. All right, everybody on the stream, thanks. We'll talk to you Thursday. Join us tomorrow for Stick to Hockey Live at 12:15, I believe.